Hi, everyone. Welcome to another wonderful, amazing presentation for day 2 of the Culturally Competent Conversations for Equity and Belongingness Summit, or the C3EB Summit. And you know what? I just have to say something super personal here, because this particular presentation is so personal to me, because our presentation expert speaker, Coach Shanita, is, outside of my husband, quite literally the very, very first person that I talked to about this pipe dream that we are all currently experiencing as the C3EB Summit. That's how far we go back, y'all. And that's how long she's known about this pipe dream. And the second I told her, hey, I'm making it happen, I need you to be a part of it, without hesitation, she was like, count me in, count me in. And this is why I appreciate this woman so much beyond anything I can express. Before I do the formal introduction, we do have a couple of housekeeping stuff. One, make sure you comment, whether you're watching this live or watching this later. Please make sure you comment, because we are monitoring our comments even after the live stream is done, so we can make sure that your questions, especially your questions, get back to Coach Shanita so she can answer them directly. We want to guarantee that you have direct access to her. You can also go to www.c3eb.com, and in the speaker bio, you can see all of the information about Coach Shanita and how to reach out to her directly. So if you don't want to comment, you don't even have to wait. Go to the website. All of her information is already on there. And then last thing before I introduce Coach Shanita is that this summit and all future programming would not be possible if not for our partners and our sponsors, who believed in my little pipe dream and who decided to walk the walk with me toward equity, toward belongingness, and toward intentional inclusion. And to put it very bluntly, they put their money where their mouth was, y'all. And that's why this is happening. And it is so important. It is such a critical part of this entire movement that I really want to highlight that and say thank you to our partners and sponsors: Essential IT, our web team, Defy the Status Quo Marketing, Zanzibar Enterprises, and of course, the Nielsen Company. That being said, it is my absolute pleasure and honor and privilege to tell you a little bit about Coach Shanita Liu. Coach Shanita Liu is the Chief Energy Officer at Coach Shanita Incorporated. Shanita teaches people how to activate courage and say bye to burnout. As the founder and chief energy officer at Coach Shanita Inc., a certified transformational life coach, a TEDx speaker, and Reiki master, she shows people how to tune in and reconnect to their courage, power, and strength, so that they can stop sacrificing themselves and start transforming what's in their hearts into realities. And today she is here to educate us, enlighten us, and transform us, or at least give us insights on the courage that it takes and how we can tap into that courage to keep doing this diversity, equity, and inclusion work that is so critical for all of global society, not just American society. So, Coach Shanita, welcome, 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 welcome. I am so thrilled that you're here. And without further ado, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Dr. AJ, and thank you for putting this amazing summit together. Good evening, everyone. I am so thrilled to be with you. I bet you've had a ball so far in the C3EB Summit. Tonight, I am going to be sharing with you some content around getting courageous. And so I'm going to just hit the ground running and get started. Please, if you are logged in right now, throw in a in the chat box. Just say, hey, I'm here. I'm ready to get courageous. I want to know who's here, and we're going to have an interactive experience, okay? So I thought I would start off with this quote that I love. Courage is found in unlikely places. And it comes from the Lord of the Rings movie. And the reason why I have this quote here is because sometimes we think that courageous people are outside of us or they're out there, and we're all really courageous already. We're all doing big, courageous things. And sometimes it's just about tuning in and getting more insight so that we can be even more powerful. So I'll dig more into that throughout our time together. And we've got a little less than 60 minutes. So essentially, we're going to dig in about how fear is showing up in your professional world and even in your personal world, especially if you're doing, and if you're in the thick of diversity, equity, inclusion work. We're going to explore what courage looks like beyond societal conventions. We're going to activate our courage with a really powerful exercise. We're going to communicate with it. So again, unconventional, but that's how we roll here. And then we're going to help you not just get courageous, but stay courageous. And I've got a little bonus for you at the end. So definitely stay tuned because I really want to make sure that you take advantage of this special offer. Now, in the spirit of diversity, we just want to acknowledge that we have a diversity of perspectives that are welcome here. I definitely want you to honor your self-care. Know that this is a judgment-free zone. And, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, please continue to post in the chat box. Throw, hey, I'm here, I'm ready to get courageous in the chat box if you are here. And because we've all had a long day, if not a long week, if not a long month, I want to invite everyone to take 3 grounding breaths so that we can tune in and get present. So let's go ahead. Inhale through your nose. Exhale out. Good. Make a sound because you don't want to look like this frazzle over Zoom called person that is holding coffee and a phone and a notebook and a mouse all at the same time. So let's take another cleansing breath so we can get present. Breathe out any stress, any tension, any fear. And we're going to take another nice deep breath together. Good. Feel free to yawn, feel free to stretch, feel free to, do whatever you need to do to feel comfortable. So I want to go ahead and let's get started. If you are tuning in, I have a question for you, and that question is this. How courageous are you feeling nowadays? This could be in the context of the work that you do, if you are doing DEI work, or it could even be just how you're feeling personally. So I want to know, do you feel a little courageous, a lot courageous, a good amount, or you're not even sure anymore, given everything going on? So just want to take a moment to have you answer that question. Go ahead and throw it into the chat box because I want to see how courageous you're feeling. And there's no right or wrong. So I want you to know that even if you're a little, hopefully by the end of this presentation, you'll feel a lot or a good amount. Usually when I do this presentation, folks will start off one way and end up a little bit more courageous towards the end. So that's the goal here. We really want to make sure that you are activating your courage and feeling more courageous by the end of this. And I'll go ahead and share that I am actually feeling a lot courageous. I'm feeling very, very courageous tonight because it's really important for me to step into this work courageously and show up powerfully in order to share my message of courage. So thank you so much, Tracy, for sharing a little bit. If you are at the a little bit spectrum of this courage spectrum right now, just know that hopefully by the end of this, you can feel just a little bit more. And it's going to change from day to day, if not hour to hour, given everything that we're going through and given the kind of the world of increasing uncertainty that we live in. So thank you so much for sharing your comments. Feel free to throw them in as we continue on. Now, a little bit about me before we dig into the meat and potatoes of our session. I didn't have a lot of courage. I would take risks and put myself out there because I was an overachieving perfectionist and like to check off all the boxes on my accolades. But then I realized that I was actually really fearful of letting other people down. So 5 years ago, when I was pregnant with my first child, I decided, you know what, I'm burning out and I cannot be scared of using my voice and advocating for my needs and my values and the things that I want. And so I decided to leave my job. I got pregnant. I moved into a home. I started my business, and it was a really scary time. And, I burned out, and I was kind of at my lowest point, swimming in the fear. But something really shifted for me, and I sought a life coach. And coaching really changed my life because it reconnected me to my courage, something I forgot I had. And reconnecting to my courage really helped me reclaim my time, my energy, my power, my voice, and helped me not play small anymore. And it's why I became a coach. So that's why I'm here today, because of that story. And in addition to coaching, diversity, equity, inclusion work and social justice work have been at the core of what I've done over a decade. Before coaching, I worked with first generation and low income college students. I was one of those students many, many years ago. And so working in education really helped me get a deeper lens into what was going on, particularly in the United States. And I worked in mostly populated urban areas with students. And, I also talk about my message of courage as a speaker. I practice healing as a Reiki practitioner. I'm a mom. And so there are so many parts of me where I have to, like you, right? There's so many parts of you where we're always, getting past those fears, those really scary fears, so that we can be courageous and do what it is that we were meant to do. So, just to make sure that we're all on the same page about what courage even is, I thought I would offer these definitions. And the reason why I wanted to offer this is because there's the sort of standard definition of courage is, according to Merriam-Webster. But if you look at that definition in blue font, blue text, there's a definition that which gels so much with me, which is courage is finding the strength to act in ways that support your truth, essential to walking your spirit path. Let's breathe into that, y'all. Whatever you do professionally and however you roll personally, there are all of these parts of us. And especially if you do diversity, equity, inclusion work, you're probably putting a lot of your heart and soul into the work, because a lot of it is mission driven, right? It's working with people. And so it is in direct connection to your spirit, no matter what faith you believe in. And so it's just very deeply personal. And so I just wanted to offer that, because I definitely feel like this definition is in alignment with kind of how we really do use courage on a regular basis. You don't need to be jumping into fire to need courage, right? Like, you could be making a small choice or decision or having a conversation. It's the little things that we do any given hour that require courage. So if you agree with me on any of that, or if you're just feeling this definition, throw in a comment so I can see, yay or nay. Are you feeling that? Does that resonate for you? Does that ring true for you? I'd love to know. Now, fears be cramping our style, right? And there are so many scary things that come up for us that we have to overcome. And I would just love to check in and know, for anyone who's with us live right now, how is fear showing up in your life? This could be your personal life, or this could be your professional life. I know for me professionally, when I was doing a lot of education equity work, burnout was my number one. I kept burning out because I wanted to give. And then I was giving too much and not taking time for my own self-care and my own self-restoration. Thank you for that comment. That was a deep definition. So yeah, I was digging it. I'm glad you're digging it too. So in the comment box, y'all, throw it down. How is fear showing up in your life? Again, personal or professional. I think that if you are a leader or a manager, there could be a lot of fear that shows up, especially if you're looking out for your team or the community that you serve. So, burnout, anxiety, analysis paralysis, those are some examples that ring true for me, but I know that they can show up in other symptoms and signs. So please, in the comments, just throw out what could be coming up for you. Anxiety, work, burnout. Yes. So burnout, especially now in times of COVID, where we are forced to do so much from home and multitask in ways that we never had to before, it is very taxing, it is very demanding, and fear does show up in those ways. It's not just stress. Like there is fear underneath that as well. So thank you for being honest and transparent about that. And as folks are sharing what's coming up for them, I wanted to offer this word cloud that I thought was like really, really spot on when it comes to, how does fear show up? Like for me, panic can sometimes come up for me because when I'm scared or I feel like I don't have the resources that I need to get the job done, I get into a state of panic and I get into a state of, how am I going to get this done? And, how am I going to serve this community and this student when I don't have what I need? And so these are just other words that may ring true for you. If any of these words resonate with you, throw them in the comments box. I'd love to see. Or maybe there's a word that isn't here that capture some of the fear that you might be feeling personally or professionally. So definitely take a moment to just, I think it's important for us, if we're going to activate courage and stay courageous, it is important for us to acknowledge the fears that are showing up, right? Because you need that courage to overcome that fear, to face that fear, to persevere despite the fear that is coming up for you, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to take a sip of water. And let's keep going. So conventional wisdom says that we got to face our fears and just like do the thing anyway. And that's true, right? So many of us have had to do just this, right? You got to take the leap, you got to take the plunge in order to make the move, right? And sometimes that's an act of courage. However, you see this image here, right? I'm afraid of bugs. And if you tell me I have to face my fear and do it anyway, this is what it's going to look like. It's not going to be pretty. I'm going to get crazed. And sometimes this conventional wisdom of like facing your fears and doing it anyway doesn't always work. And it can sometimes lead us to panic. It can sometimes lead us to more anxiety and can even make us less courageous. And so, if conventional doesn't work for you all the time, as it doesn't work for me all the time, there's something else you can do. So this is where we're going to dig into our toolkit for courage. Part 1, we're going to identify a courage metaphor. And in case you are like, what, a metaphor for courage? I don't get it. Metaphors are really powerful tools that we as coaches use to help make meaning and define things that might often be really hard to describe. It could be an image, it could be an energy, it could be a feeling. And so, this is just a definition of a metaphor, just in case you needed clarity. So when Elvis sings, "You ain't nothing but a hound dog crying all the time," he's really saying you're a hot mess. So, metaphor is just kind of like another way of capturing the essence of what's coming up for you. Now, my courage metaphor is actually Durga Ma, who is this Hindu warrior goddess. And a little context in case you're like, whoa. 15 years ago, I studied abroad in India, and I actually picked up this postcard with this very image. And I didn't think anything of it. But in that moment that I was in that pregnant picture I showed you, where I was just burned out, I was swimming in fear, and I tuned in when the life coach said, can you tune in and see what comes up for you? She came up. Durga Ma came up, my metaphor for courage. And I was like, oh my gosh. And she talked. So I think what was really cool was that she had a few things to tell me. In those moments of panic and fear, she said, I got your back. You are more than enough. And you are not alone. Okay. And so I actually have her little statue here. So if you can see in the video, I've actually got her right next to me. She's giving me the courage to talk about courage and to be a demonstration of courage. Thank you, Durga Ma. And, when this moment happened, this was me. I was like ugly crying. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have such a powerful metaphor for courage who's just showing up, and she's inside of me and she's got my back and I'm not alone. And, I know it might sound corny, but it was so touching to know that, whoa, that's what my courage looks like. That's what my courage sounds like. Who would have thought? And so just simply tuning in and holding space for that allowed me to discover that. And since then, Durga has been a big part of my work. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to get into it. I want to invite you to get comfortable, take a nice deep breath, and we're going to activate courage. All right. We're going to first start off by identifying what your metaphor for courage is. And after you take your deep breath, I just want you to get comfortable and close your eyes if you like. And I just want you to tune into your heart. So just make sure you silence your phone. Just don't pay attention to anything else but yourself right now. I just want you to tune in. What might help is you can even put your one hand or both hands on your heart space right now, just so you can tune in. Breathe into your heart space. Let go of any other thoughts or to-do lists or anything else on your mind right now. Once you take those deep breaths, I want to invite you to imagine your courage. What does your courage look like? Imagine your courage. What does your courage look like? Feel free to close your eyes. That feels comfortable for you. And maybe it might not look like something concrete. Maybe it might feel like an energy or a sound or something, and that's fine too. Whatever that is coming up for you, just keep it with you. Keep that image or energy with you. There's no right or wrong. Your courage is just going to show up the way it looks and feels true for you. Because your courage is custom. Okay? So stay there, keep that with you, and we're going to move into part 2 of this exercise. And once you identify your metaphor for courage, we're going to go ahead and communicate with your courage. And that means we're going to talk to it. Because our courage, no matter what it looks like inside of us, it has a message to share with us. So we're going to get curious and learn how it communicates with us, and we are also going to communicate with it. So continue to take those nice deep breaths. Stay tuned in. And this time, still paying attention to your heart and your courage, listen carefully. Does your courage make a sound? If so, who or what does it sound like? Pay attention to whatever rises. And as you take in whatever sounds or even messages are coming to you from your courage, here's a chance for you to now take a moment to say something to your courage. So you can say anything you like. You can whisper it, you can say it in your mind. I encourage you to say it out loud. You could simply be like, oh my gosh, that was you this whole time? Or like, man, where have you been? I really needed you last week. Or, oh my goodness, I can't wait to get to know you more. Or you might even say, hey, you still seem very mysterious to me. Tell me more. So go ahead and just take the next moments to say and express whatever is in your heart to your courage. It's here and it's listening. Keep breathing. If you need a yawn or stretch or do anything, that's okay too. Just keep breathing and just stay tuned in. And when you're done and you feel like you've said what you needed to say to your courage, or maybe you might say like, hey, I got more to tell you, but I'll get back to you later. We'll talk tonight. You could kind of put a I'll get back to you message. And when you're done, take a deep breath to come back. Because you can always come back to your courage. Okay? So take a deep breath to come back, get recalibrated. And as you get recalibrated from that exercise, one thing I just want to, again, just emphasize is that your courage is custom. It's customized to you. And I believe that your courage is a really key indicator for what's waiting to emerge for you. Sometimes our courage might not even speak to a specific fear. Sometimes it's trying to tell us something else that we might not have carved out the space to just like hear. And I believe that our courage is really wisdom and wise insight from our heart that can really give us powerful guidance and show up for us, especially during those times when we're feeling like we don't have the strength or we don't have the courage to move forward. In case you're wondering, like if your metaphor for courage was really out of the box and unconventional, well, one, I had Durga, right? So I had the fierce warrior Hindu goddess who showed up out of nowhere. But one of my clients here, his courage showed up as a flying squirrel suit. And when he was scared of falling, he tuned in, and the message he heard from his courage was, "You got this." And that message alone helped propel him to keep flying. Another one of my clients had Puma as her metaphor for courage. And at first she was really confused, but when she tuned in and she communicated with her Puma made a sound. And it was actually the voice of her late cousin who had passed away from cancer. And this voice, as she was going through some pretty big changes and transitions in her life, this voice, said to her, I didn't make it, but you can. And whew, like I get chills just saying it now. It was so powerful for her to hear that. And ever since then, she's had a two-way street communication with her Puma, who's her metaphor for courage, supporting her through all of her changes thereafter. And then last but not least, one of my favorite examples is the little red spider with the blue tummy. My son, who's 4 years old, shared his metaphor for courage. So in case you're like, this is just like an adult exercise, this is something you can use with people of all ages, old, young, it doesn't matter. In fact, what children share is actually probably really spirited and really unique. And this little red spider would support my son when he was scared of the dark. So I'm curious to know what came up for you. Anything goes. This is a safe judgment-free zone. In the comments box, if you are tuning in right now, please, if you feel comfortable, share, what came up for you. I definitely want to encourage some sharing now in the chat box. We don't have to wait till the very, very end of the presentation. I just want to invite folks to, express what came up or what didn't come up for you, because I know there were folks who I've done this workshop with who their brains were racing through other things that they had on their minds that it was actually very hard for them to tune in. So it's not always easy. And if it doesn't work the very first time, you are more than welcome to try it again during another time when maybe you're more relaxed and you're not in the middle of your evening or your work day. It is a weeknight. So, at the end of this, finding a place where you feel a little bit of peace and calm and you can do some of that breath work and kind of tune in is a really valuable space where you can hear your courage come through. So go ahead and take a moment, throw them in the comments box. What came up for you? You can share as little or as much as you want. And I will say this as I wait for comments to come in, that my courage has evolved. In addition to Durga, I've got some other deities and other guides from universes I didn't even know about, who have come in to support me over the last 5 years as I've grown as a mom, as I've grown as a business owner. So it's been really transformational. And one of our comments coming in shares that Pocahontas came up, and that was really intriguing. So when I think about Pocahontas, I think about, Pocahontas is a warrior. She's like a fierce warrior. She stands up for what she believes in. There's this beautiful light inside of her. And even though she's female among a very kind of male dominated community, she holds it down. So I think that having a metaphor like Pocahontas is actually really powerful. And, if Pocahontas had anything to share, feel free to share that, or maybe she didn't have anything to share yet. And just because your courage doesn't communicate to you right away, doesn't mean that it won't. Sometimes just showing up alone is the really powerful, magical part. And then the more you tune in and the more you go back to touching base, right? That's when your metaphor might give you a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more information. But having I love Pocahontas. It's actually one of my favorite Disney movies, because she's so fierce. She is so graceful, and she uses her voice. She stands up for what she believes in, for her and for her community. Isn't that so aligned with the theme of this summit, right? We are all here because, we all in some way, shape, or form believe that diversity, equity, and inclusion matters. And the work that we're all doing towards these different areas is so important. And there is a fierceness that we all have to bring to this work. So, feel free to expand on that if you like. If not, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's really important. And one thing I would also share is that your courage can evolve. Your courage can evolve and transform, and there could be even more that shows up for you over time. So, the goal here is not to just get courageous, but to stay courageous, right? So I just want to pause because I saw another comment coming in. It just gave me chills that you could only hear the wind blowing. That is so, so powerful, because the wind is one of the most powerful forces that never dies down. Like, if you think about it as like not an element, but I guess it is an element of Mother Nature on Earth, the wind is always moving. There's always movement. It may stop being windy in one place, but that means that the wind went somewhere else. So it's always active, it's always alive. So I think that's really beautiful and it's really interesting, and definitely, definitely worth exploring and getting more curious about. So thank you for sharing that. Now, I want you to keep your courage alive. And so the whole goal here for our workshop is really just thinking about how can you keep your courage alive today, this week. So if you're thinking about it in the context of your professional work, right? Do you need to call on your courage before those big meetings? Do you need to sit down with your courage as you make your weekly to-do list or your daily to-do list? Do you just need to sit down every night before bed and have 5 minutes to connect with your courage and talk to your courage, right? Like, what does that look like? So if you've got a pen and paper, or if you've got a notepad on your phone or something like that, go ahead and just take a moment to really write down, nail down what's at least one way that you can keep your courage alive. Because I know for me, the way I keep my courage alive is by keeping the conversation going. Durga is talking to me and I am talking to her, and we've actually built such a close relationship over the years that I can just hear her talking. Sometimes I don't even need to say anything, and she's like, stop, sit down, don't open your computer, you need to rest. She will check me. And so my courage and I have developed such a strong bond that I can hear things even before I ask. or I can feel things. I can feel her comfort when I'm feeling scared or when fear creeps up. So just think about, what could one way look like, or multiple ways. Maybe you need to sit with this question a little bit more, but this is an important question that's going to help you stay courageous. And another question that I want to throw out to you as you are considering how to keep your courage alive is, what's one way that you can actually integrate it into your activities? So in addition to talking to it, to sit with it, to observe, to feel it, to get the essence of it, right? So that you can embody it because it's in your body already, right? You just have to kind of get in more alignment with it so that all the stressors that we were talking about earlier, all those fear symptoms can be alleviated and can go away. How do you integrate courage? So it might look like having a difficult conversation with a colleague or your partner or your friend or a community member, right? It can look like a variety of different things. But you may have to call on your courage in that moment to have the conversation, to find the right words and the right tone, and disposition to have that difficult conversation. And so many of us have to have those difficult conversations in order for us to stand up for what's right and to voice our opinions, especially in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. So, if you feel like you can come up with one or two ways to keep your courage alive and to integrate it into your day and your week, give me a yay or a nay, leave a comment, because I really want to make sure that you are able to picture what's possible with your courage, because anything is possible once you activate your courage. At least I believe so. And feel free to write these questions down too, just to keep them with you as you continue to revisit this. Now, if you are having trouble even just taking a moment to pause because you got a crazy work day and you got a lot going on at home, stop and breathe. And so every week, once a week, I post a 1 minute, I call them 1 minute reset. It's 1 minute out of your 1,440 minutes during the day to breathe. And I know I have trouble pressing pause. So these videos help me just as much as they help other people. So go ahead and feel free to catch the videos either on LinkedIn or IG where I post them, because they will help you press pause. They will help you breathe. And that's what you need, right? In order to start activating and connecting with your courage. Now, I got Beyonce in here because look, does she look scared? No, right? She looks pretty fierce and pretty courageous here. And I don't know what her courage metaphor is. And if I get to meet her one day, I'll ask her. But all of that to say is that we're trying to be out here, trying to do this work with all our full power, strength, and most importantly, courage, right? And so activating our courage will really help us, really help us stay courageous. I see some comments coming in. So I'm just looking on. Yes, follow on IG or LinkedIn. They are 1 minute of your day and they can make a difference. Now, when it comes to the exercise that we just walked through, right, the courage metaphor and the communicating to and with our courage, you can actually get this free audio exercise. I captured all of it in a little 9-minute downloadable audio that you can turn to just about anytime you want. So if you're like, oh, I'm having trouble reconnecting to my courage, or my brain's too busy, or I'm too distracted, or there's too much fear, go to this site, coachshanita.com/courage, and download it, and you'll have it. And you can tune into it anytime, whether it's through your phone or whether it's through your tablet or whether it's through your laptop. All right. And when you sign up for the courage activation exercise, you're also going to get to watch the full TEDx talk about activating your courage. This entire session presentation comes from this talk. Again, I wasn't the most courageous person in the world, but courage has been something that has transformed my world and has really helped me get where I am today. So definitely want to share the talk with you. So feel free to tune into that as well when you go ahead and when you download it. So we got to do some sharing over comments, but just wanted to know if there are any questions or thoughts that came up for you before we take the next few minutes to wrap up. So if there are any questions, certainly let me know. Give me a holler. Hey again, Dr. AJ.
Hi. I came in to say, if you want to include that TED Talk in the video recordings for those who will watch later, we can definitely do so. So we can talk about that
Awesome.
and how to incorporate that into the video and stitch them all together because, yeah, I'm not joking. That TED Talk, trust me, you want to watch it. Trust me on this, especially if you've been on this journey with me for the past day and a half. You know I mean what I say, and I'm very intentional about what I say. I'm very intentional about this entire movement. This is Coach Shanita's TED Talk is profound. There's no other word for it.
Thank you, Dr.
And
AJ. That means so
really,
much.
but all of the work you do, Coach Shanita, since I've known you has been nothing but profound when we were doing our weekly Instagram lives and, just all of the work we've done. You never not show up in anything but your best self to serve. And the thing is, I got to see the back end stuff of what you represent to you. So when I sit here and say, like, you do exactly what it takes for you to show up as exactly who you need to be, that when you are giving us these exercises and all of that, it's because you're not coming from a place of theoretical knowledge. It's because you've actually done this work and you know it works. There's not too many other people in this world I can say that about, and you're one of them. So for everybody who's watching this live or later, yo, Coach Shanita. It is at Coach Shanita. Tracy, I just posted it right before your comment. So make sure you follow Coach Shanita. I follow her on all my accounts. Not just because she's my friend, but because I actually follow her and because she teaches me every single day. And of course, she is my friend. There is that too. But Coach Shanita, do you have any final thoughts before we?
Yeah, I know. Just go ahead, follow me because I definitely want to stay in touch with whoever tunes in either now or after. And then, we can always book time together just to even chat and expand on what came up for folks. Because I know we have a small amount of time, but this is transformational work that is ongoing. Your courage, you staying courageous is ongoing, especially in this work and the theme of everything that you're having for us in this summit. So please know that you're not alone, folks. Like, you have support here.
And Coach Anita, just before you go, I do want to tell you one thing. I actually got a text, which I think this is going to resonate with you. I got a text from somebody, can't tell you who, but I got a text from somebody. They were watching your talk and they said, oh my gosh, she's Goddess Durga personified.
Oh my gosh.
And I said, yes, absolutely. So for those who are not of Hindu faith, Goddess Durga is one of our most powerful forms of Shakti, which literally translates to power. I love that you have her right there. I have Lalita, and you have Durga. And so for me, that resonates so much. And when this person said this, I was like, yes, exactly. So you literally are a goddess here helping us be our best versions. And I can't thank you enough for the service that you're doing for everybody watching on C3EB Summit now and later. So thank you so much.
Thank you for holding this space where this is welcome. All of our courage metaphors are welcome. And that is so beautiful. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And so thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll see you on the next session. Thank you, Coach Anita.
Take care. Bye, everybody.